And were you also made aware of the fact that some of the patients were transferred to state facilities for their care?
No, again, it wasn't of any relevance to my calculation.
So will I be correct? Will you disagree with me if I put it to you that the subsidy was not an entitlement to the patients, but rather payment to Life Esidimeni?
Yeah, and I think it's a legal debate.
Do you disagree or not?
The witness says he doesn't know whether it's an entitlement or not, and it's a matter of legal argument. He's an actuary. His work is to calculate on the data available to him.
Well, Justice, the witness has to answer the question because his brief was on calculations of the amounts which were paid to the facility, which will, from his brief, will be the basis of the calculation of their damages. So those facts should have been...
well, put it to the witness and see whether he needed the facts for his calculation. You can put it to the witness. He'll give you a reply.
Mr. Whittaker, if I can just take you back for you just to assist us. What was the objective of the brief given to you for the production of this report?
So it was quite simply what would the capitalized value of the subsidy had been to the 143 deceased had they remained in the Life Esidimeni facility over the rest of their lives. It's a very narrow focus.
Were you informed of the fact that the family members of those patients are claiming damages pursuant to the deaths of these patients?
Am I aware that they are claiming damages? Yes, I am.
Sorry?
Yes, I am. Am I aware that they are claiming damages?
Yes, that is the
yes.
question. And
yes, the answer is yes.
Were you requested by the legal representatives to prepare a report which will justify the amount of damages which they seek?
I was requested to do this particular calculation, and then the legal argument will follow on that. So I don't know what the legal argument will be, but these are just the numbers that I've been asked to calculate.
Well, like, Mr. Whittaker, if you can just answer the question directly, like my question to you, like if you limit yourself to the question, my question to you is, were you made aware, were you not requested to assist the claimants in this regard in the manner of calculating the damages which they seek?
I was asked by Section 27 to perform the calculation set out in my report.
Answer is quite clear, Counsel. Okay. I was given a brief. I described it in my report, and the calculations are about that brief. You probably want to know, what about the other things? Was he asked to calculate that? And it's the third time he says, I've calculated what I've been asked, and I've described what I've been asked in my report.
Would the content of your report be of any relevance to the damages sought by the family members on behalf of the deceased patients?
I assume it would be. It's wouldn't have been asked to calculate something if legal argument didn't follow on that, I assume. So,
Well, like I don't quite hear you properly. If you can repeat your answer.
I assume, yes, that that legal argument will be based on the numbers that I've been asked to calculate. So, so yes.
So, in a nutshell, I just need to find out if was your report for purposes of justifying the damages sought by the claimants.
My report was to be of assistance to the arbitrator. That's my mandate, is to be of assistance to the hearing, and this is my best estimate of the calculation that I've been asked to perform.
Mr. Whittaker, let's talk about the damages sought by the claimants. Can you just respond to those issues?
You have to put the issues, just specify them, so that he can answer the specific question.
The families on behalf of the patients who passed on seek damages from the government. Are you aware of that?
I'm aware of that.
So what I'm asking you is that, were you given the facts upon which such damages were sought? I mean, are being sought?
Is that outside of this report?
Indeed.
If we could just make it clear to the witness, yes. Were you briefed with anything else outside of your report?
No, this is the only calculation that I was asked to perform.
And do you know what amount are they seeking from these proceedings as a form of damages?
I'm not sure of the aggregate amount.
Do you know of any amount? It be per family.
I'm not going to stop you yet, because your questions must be relevant to the expert testimony.
Yes.
Counsel seem to anticipate that there are other amounts and things that will be claimed which I don't know. This is actually, he has prepared a report which has been circulated beforehand, and it sets out right in the first paragraph the ambit of the calculation. So if you ask the witness about what other wishes of the claimants are, then the question must be whether that question is relevant. But let the witness tell us whether he has been told to do anything else other than in this report.
No, Justice, this is the only calculation that I was requested to do.
Counsel.
If I can just give it a minute, Justice. Mr. Whittaker, I think let's just go to your report. Go to page 2 of the report. Paragraph 1.2. Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Can you just read that paragraph for the record?
It starts by saying it is our understanding that under South African law, the following damages can be claimed in the event of an unlawful death.
And you proceed to outline the various claims from paragraphs 1.2, 1.2.2.
It's from 1.2.1 to 1.2.4, yeah.
Yes. 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 Yeah. Let's go to the first claim, which is referred to as a claim for funeral expenses. Were you made aware of what amount is being sought under that head?
No, I'm not aware.
Did you make any calculations?
I wasn't, the only calculation I was asked to make was as set out in paragraph 1.4 of my report.
Let's go to 1.2.2. It records that a claim for loss of support as a result of a deceased breadwinner. Were there any calculations that you have made in relation to that sort of claim?
No, no calculation.
Let's go to paragraph 1.2.3, which
there shouldn't be too many breadwinners here, Council. Institutionalized people.
Indeed, indeed. We are aware of that.
Yes.
Yes.
So they ask the witness whether he's made calculations flies in the face of the facts here.
Yes.
These are institutionalized patients.
Yes. Well, like this sort of claim, like it is set out in the report. I just wanted to take the witness through it by virtue of his knowledge or understanding
Yes.
of the South African laws pertaining to claims.
It's an actuary. You and me are the lawyers.
Yes. Let's go to 1.2.3. General damages claim for emotional shock. Were there any calculations made in that regard?
No calculations.
Let's go to paragraph 1.2.4, which refers to constitutional damages. What is your knowledge of constitutional damages?
Sorry, Justice, I'm not sure what the purpose of the question or the relevance is. Though the witness is not a lawyer, the witness is an actuary who has practiced in the area of calculation of damages of different sort, and all he sought to do here was to say there are different types of damages that may be claimed. This is the list of damages I'm aware of. That's simply it. His conclusion is in 1.4, which is actually what's relevant for these proceedings.
Yeah. Well, can we clarify the question in a way that remains relevant? Are you asking the witness whether he knows the principles that regulate constitutional damages, or are you simply asking the witness whether he has been invited to calculate constitutional damages?
Justice, I need to find out from the witness of his knowledge, from what he had indicated as his understanding of the law. That knowledge will give him the basis upon which to conduct any calculations if such calculations were performed. So my question to him is whether is he aware or what is his understanding of constitutional damages? Since
For what it is worth, let's ask the witness.
Thank you,
He's
Justice.
doing no more than listing what we call heads of damages.
Yes.
You could claim funeral expenses, you could claim loss of support as a breadwinner, you could claim constitutional damages you could claim. What our law seemingly doesn't recognize, he has punitive damages you could. So that's what he has listed. From a layman's point of view, frankly, because he's not a lawyer. But probe the question. I don't want to restrict it unduly, but let's stay relevant to what this witness has brought to us. It's a calculation that he describes very early in the report.
Thank you, Justice.
What it would have cost the state if these people had lived on in the institutions, and what it would have been the likely aggregate, joint, collective lifespan of the people, and therefore, if properly discounted at a rate that's acceptable, what would it have cost the state in present day value? That's what the long and short of it is.
Yes.
Very well, you go ahead.
Mr. Whittaker, if I can refer you to paragraph 1.2 of your report, read together with 1.2.4. I just want to find out from you what is your understanding of that head of damages.
Justice, I've just listed the damages that I'm aware of in those 4 points.
Yes, I'm asking.
So I'm not quite sure what the. I can't provide any legal input on to that.
Did you make any calculations in relation to this head of damages?
The calculation that I've made is set out in paragraph 1.4 of my report, which is the, as you've just described, so whether that's used in legal arguments.
Mr. Whittaker, if you can just listen to the question and answer it direct. I've made reference to specific paragraphs. Can you just direct your question, your answer to that question?
The question is, has he made any calculations on constitutional damages?
Indeed.
We all know the answer. The answer is no.
He hasn't provided that answer, Justice. He hasn't provided the answer.
It's self-evident.
Yes.
It is the report is before you. You ask him to, whether he's made calculations which are outside his report.
Justice, can we give the witness an opportunity to commit himself
not
to...
unduly. Not when it doesn't add to resolving the dispute before me. He doesn't pretend to have calculated constitutional damages. And why must he be subjected to, not once, a few times, questions about whether he has made the calculation? How does that advance the dispute between the parties? We know the answer is no. But you want it from his lips. Do you have any other questions?
Indeed so, Justice. If I can proceed.
Yes, please proceed.
Mr. Whittaker, in your calculations, did you take into account the possibility of the government accommodating those patients from Life Esidimeni at government institutions?
No.
Were you made aware of the fact that there are government institutions which care for mentally ill patients?
I wasn't. Again, the calculation is merely based on had they remained at Life Esidimeni for the remainder of their expected lifespan, what would the capitalized value of that have been? So it's a very narrow focus.
Counsel, time will come when you'll say the report is unuseful. But this is hardly the target of that criticism. This an actuary has calculated as instructed.
Thank you, Justice.
Please proceed with the questions. I
we
want to
will,
limit you.
clearly, like the witness will not be of any assistance on matters which we want to query this report because we find it of no assistance to the claim which is before this proceedings. So the report was actually prepared in abstract of the relevant facts which should have been given to the witness. And in light of objections which are being raised and without wanting to get these proceedings prolonged unnecessarily, we will not pose any questions. We'll deal with the report at the appropriate time.
But just make it clear, you're entitled to ask questions all the way, provided they're relevant and they go to the dispute before us. If you want to argue with the witness that his report is useless for a specific purpose, you must identify the purpose. Counsel on the other side has said to me, they're going to argue that it is relevant, and you're going to argue that it's not relevant. But actuaries are hired guns. They're given a brief and a set of facts, and they calculate on that set of facts.
Justice.
So he can improve on the facts, he can't diminish the facts. He's given names of people and their dates of birth and told calculate what it would have cost the state if they were stayed in the same institution over their lifespan, their remaining lifespan. That's what the calculation is about. Whether it will be useful later is a matter for argument.
Thank you, Justice. Mr. Whittaker, we will argue at the end of these proceedings that your report was prepared absent relevant factual information which would have been necessary for you to produce this report.
Mr. Whittaker?
That's a legal argument.
Answer was that is a legal argument.
And we will also argue that the report was not prepared to assist these proceedings in relation to the claims which have been set out on behalf of those who are represented by Section 27.
Are you aware of the claims that have been set out on behalf of the claimants by Section 27?
I'm not aware of the monetary amounts, no.
So you are not aware of the claims set out by Section 27 or on behalf of their clients?
I'm not.
You are not aware?
No.
Thank you. No further questions.
The answer is I'm not aware.
Yes. Thank you, Justice.
Very well.
That will be the end of our questions.
Cross-examination, yes indeed. Is there any suggestion, though, in your cross-examination, let me just understand, that any of the facts set out in the Ombuds report are being contested? No? That's not part of your question to the witness.
Justice, there is a statement of claim
Again?
which claims specific amounts of money on behalf of the claimants. So the witness had already said that he has not been made aware about that statement of claim, yet he is called before these proceedings to assist those claimants to prove those damages.
No, there may be 3 other actuaries who are coming.
Well,
Or
let's
maybe
hope
not.
so.
Yeah, sure.
Let's hope so.
So you'll have time for argument.
Thank you, Justice.
As I say, this is the wrong target. There may be 2 or 3 other or argument in law which this witness can help us about. My point was, in your line of questioning, you're not questioning the factual premise gleaned from the Ombuds report?
Well, Justice,
Limited as it might be in your view, you're not putting that into dispute, are you?
well, Justice, the point which we try to bring to the attention of these proceedings is that the calculations should be relevant to the damages sought. We accept the
Sure.
Ombuds report, but we are talking about the amounts that the claimants are seeking. So we were under the impression that this witness is called precisely for that purpose, to justify those amounts. But it appears that there might be other witnesses who may deal with those aspects.
Yes, that's why we...
So hence, we argue, or will argue, that the evidence of this witness will be of irrelevance in relation to those claims.
Sure, I understand that. No, you're open to argue that. But the reason for summaries of expert evidence is to carve out the field that a particular expert will talk about.
We appreciate it.
You appreciate that. And that's why the report was circulated. And that's why I insist all experts' reports must be circulated. And procedural law also insists. So every time an expert comes, we know the field is that narrow or that wide. But thank you, we've had the point. Re-examination?
Questions in re-examination, but I notice that it's time for an adjournment.
So we want to keep Mr. Whittaker here. Are there few questions you say
There
you'd
are
like to
just
take?
a few questions.
You'd like to take the adjournment now. Mr. Whittaker, you're going to have fine tea somewhere, and we will be back here at midday. We're adjourned.